Hello, I'm Manabultos, and before I begin, I've got a couple of things to say. So you might be wondering, where is today's 0 AD? And I'll tell you exactly where it is. It's on my hard drive, and I haven't uploaded it yet, which means it's going to take another day before it comes out. But just wanted you to know that it is there and it exists, and the episode after that also exists. It just hasn't been uploaded yet. But anyway, what I'm actually going to be talking about on today's video is the hurricane that recently went for Florida, and I just want to share my experience of that with you, just in case anybody's interested in listening. Of course, this is a personal story, so if you don't really care, then that's fine with me. But anyway, I'm still a bit sick, as you may have already known from a previous video. However, back when the hurricane was coming, I was even more sick than I am now. You can hear my sniffle. Okay. So anyway, the hurricane was coming, so everybody goes to get gas and water, drinking water, in case the infrastructure goes bad. But anyway, gasoline was running out. Some gas stations had already gone out of it, and the governor, Rick Scott, was saying, "Oh, we don't have any logistical problems with that," but actually we did. So maybe he should have fact-checked himself a little bit before he made that statement. But anyway, I live inland, so flooding isn't that big a problem, especially where my home is situated. It's a custom built house, so it has a little tornado shelter in it, and is a bit more resistant to the elements. Because let's be honest, if you're going to build a house somewhere, you should at least make it resistant to the kinds of natural disasters that exist in the region, such as, for Florida, that would be big rainstorms and windstorms and thunderstorms as well. Just rain, wind, and thunder, pretty much. But anyway, I was, so on, I think it's the day of, or the day before, no, the day of, the day that the hurricane was due to arrive, we decided to put everything away, because if you've got stuff in your yard, you don't want it to be out, because it'll either blow away or the wind will pick it up and collide it with other objects. Now, as I said earlier, I don't live close to the coast, so I didn't have to evacuate. But nonetheless, we did receive the winds. So anyway, I was helping my grandmother clear her yard, and there was this orange tree. Because it's Florida, you've got orange trees. So there's this fully grown orange tree, and it was situated in a place where I jiggled it around, and I could tell that if it were to fall, it would fall right on top of her electric well. Of course, the advantage of an electric well is that you're not on the city's water, which means you can just draw water whenever you want, as long as you have electricity. I guess an even bigger thing would be if you had a mechanical, non-electric well, which would allow you to draw water using human power, or if you're really into that medieval stuff, animal power, which means you wouldn't need electricity at all, but that's an entirely different topic. Anyway, ooh, my voice cracked a little bit there. Anyway, we were going to cut down this tree, but so that it doesn't fall on the well, and also so that the storm can't knock it over onto the well, so we needed to have it down before the storm arrived. So I went out there, grabbed it with my bare hands, and I twisted it off its base. It's a pretty heavy tree, probably heavier than I am, maybe a couple times heavier than I am. But anyway, I got it knocked over, and most of the roots came out with it. But of course, there was one root still attached. So that was problematic because we couldn't find our axe, so we had to. So I started chopping at it with a mattock, which is not the most efficient tool. So eventually, we ended up cutting that one root that was really attached to it with a combination of mattock and a bow saw, because bow saws work. So anyway, we got the tree out of the way. We got all the things cleared from the yard, and then we went inside, and the storm arrived. And you know what? Another advantage I think I had in this storm is that I had landline internet. A lot of people opt for satellite internet, but of course, when clouds come, that's not the best. So if you have landline internet, you can have internet as long as you've got the power lines up. So I was having my internet, and during this storm, the TV was on, in fact, even though we used satellites. And it occasionally it went off. I think one time lightning struck the receiver or something, and we had to reset that. But when the storm finally came, there was rain and there was wind. There wasn't that much thunder. Maybe occasionally you'd hear a little bit of it, but there wasn't usually that much. So the rain came, and of course it rained, and the wind. So I like wind. I don't know if you know that about me, but I really enjoy wind. So I went outside onto my porch so that I was safe from the rain, but not safe from the wind. And I just stood there for a while, just taking in the wind. And I liked it, you know, wind's nice wind. It's pretty strong wind. You can see all the trees swaying. Any loose weeds that had been torn out earlier, they were tumbling across the yard. The wind was really powerful. It was tearing the leaves off of some trees. Probably not the well-attached leaves, more just the really loosely attached leaves. And I didn't really know what to do, so I decided to do some martial arts. So I was out there during the hurricane, training some martial arts in that amazing wind. And you know what? I really enjoyed it. I guess that's it, really. Not much else happened. The internet went down for a bit, but it went back up. Probably there had been a problem with the power line somewhere. Of course, people who were close to the coast had some big problems with the storm tearing off people's roofs. Which is interesting, actually, now that I think about it. Because I used to live in northern Italy, and I had a roof that was made... it was in a condominium. I had a roof that was made of concrete. They made roofs of concrete. And over here, where you'd be much more likely to have a big thunderstorm that tears your roof off, they made roofs out of, I don't even know, wood, which is not really effective when you have a big windstorm. So I find it interesting how in an area of Europe where you wouldn't really expect such powerful winds as you have here in Florida, they actually make houses, they build them, and they're much more effective at resisting such winds than the ones that are being built here. What that makes me think is that whoever is building all these houses in Florida really just wants to make a quick buck. Of course, there's a lot of low-income housing. There's also a lot of seasonal housing and trailer parks, especially where I live, because there is a nomadic population. I suppose a lot of people that don't live in the eastern U.S. wouldn't know this, but a lot of people from the northeastern U.S., and the Midwestern U.S., I suppose, as well, they move down to Florida in the winter and then go back north afterwards. We call them snowbirds. They just come and go. Sometimes they even stay half a year in Florida and half a year somewhere north. And a lot of these people are elderly because, of course, younger people who have regular jobs or regular schooling, of course, would not be able to live such a semi-nomadic lifestyle. But these people do, and then sometimes some of them stay afterwards, and that's fine, I suppose. But anyway, this means that there's a lot of trailer parks and a lot of low-income housing for people who come to Florida seasonally. Not to mention all the tourists, because Florida has a massive tourism industry. If you consider you've got Walt Disney World in Florida, you've got stuff at Miami, stuff at Tampa Bay. St. Augustine is a really old town. Um, any place in Orlando, Florida. Oh, my goodness, this cold is really getting to me. So there's a lot of tourism, and I suppose that gets a lot of money into Florida. And of course, recently, all the orange trees have been dying from disease. So people are thinking of transferring into maybe peach trees or beginning to cultivate different crops other than orange trees. Of course, people do cultivate various crops. There's a lot of things that can grow in Florida. The climate, that is, the soil is an entirely different story because most of the soil is just sand. My goodness, there's so much sand. There's many things you can't grow in sand, which is very problematic if you want to grow large amounts of stuff. But anyway, if you import the soil, you can grow practically anything in Florida, unless it's something that really requires a dry climate or a really cold climate. I think you can grow anything. So I suppose that's all I've got to say on that. But anyway, on Zero AD video, all that's happened is I haven't uploaded it, and I suppose that's really it to the story. I haven't uploaded it, and that's why it's not up. But anyway, on another note, the second American presidential debate, not the vice presidential one, I think I might be making a video on that soon. But I guess you'll have to wait for that. I found it really interesting, so I have a lot of things to say. But first, I'm going to take a look at what the media says about it, so that I know some important things to address. Thank you very much. It's cold. Ugh. Ugh.